A name is Rae Akino. Pronouns, I'll say all of them, but they, them, if it's too complicated, that works. And you said my art,
Yeah.
visual artist. So whether it's digital, hand painted, murals, the whole nine.
So thank you.
Yeah.
So we're doing this like interview as part of trying to capture your perspective as part of Rooted and Rising. We've had artist talks, talk backs, I guess, where we sort of sat on our panel and just like talk to artists about their experience in Rooted and Rising. And so I wanted to make sure that I captured your perspective and that it lives digitally in the world as part of the installation. So the first thing I really wanted to ask was around Rooted and Rising, and how it was in response to the African American archive that was housed at Douglas Street Library. So explain your connection to Black Seattle and how does your work add to the creative work in Seattle?
Um, I'd say as a transplant in certain terms, Black Seattle really gave me a connection to home, to where I'm from DC. So, you know, it was a little bit of a culture shock when I initially moved to Seattle, and the first 3 years was kind of rough of like not really having a community that looks like me or not really knowing where the pockets were until I went to a couple of events and started to find out where some other Black events are and Black activities and just this small hub of Black Seattle. Started to see the same familiar faces in different places and sort of gave me a little bit of the vibes of back home of this in terms of just community. Um, yeah, that was the start.
So, yeah, Seattle's one of those weird places where you gotta like find your pocket, like find your people that like you can rock with, and then you just got homies for forever, which I think is dope. But sometimes it takes a long to get in that like little pocket. So as a visual artist, how do you define Afrofuturism, and how do you want your work to be in conversation with the Black aesthetic in the future?
The way I describe Afrofuturism is like an amalgamation of tradition or what honoring what our ancestors or the folks that came before us did and practiced and passed on, but also changing it in a sense of making it fit the now or making it fit the experiences that we are having and experiences that our future selves or future generations may have, and just keep having that little window open for change because everything evolves. So that's my main thing is honoring, the past as in there's my particular patterns that I use come from old African blankets and fabrics and different pots, different things that were sort of passed down and things that we could only hold on to given our condition in America. And yeah, those same folklores and the narratives, making it fit now, because there's a lot of it that fits now.
Yeah, yeah. I think one thing, there was like a brief like, talking about each artist that I asked to sort of be a part of Rooted and Rising. And one of the things that I mentioned is that like your work is so textural and so connected to like the ways in which we capture our stories on fabric. And that was one of the reasons why I actually be part of the project. Can you talk a little bit about sort of like your approach to that, like integrating the past into like the future and how your work has really encapsulated that really beautiful like Sankofa aspect where it's really about like making sure that our history is integrated into what moves forward.
My approach in that is definitely leans heavily towards the fabric base because not only is our storytelling and our a lot of things that were passed through us to us, especially living here in the Americas through generations, is a lot of it was passed through fabrics. So quilting was a really big part of our grandmothers and great grandmothers, not only their heirlooms, but it was a way to hold on to family history and my grandmother has a few quotes that were passed down and, different things from a piece of somebody's wedding dress, a piece of somebody's like, shirt jacket before that was the last time they saw somebody, or celebratory thing, a patch from, one of my uncles, one of my old great uncles, military patches from you know, his unfortunate run in Vietnam. Like adding all of those elements into this one collective thing that can be shared and just keeps the story going for as long as this one item is being able to be held, kept alive or kept track of.
That's so dope.
Like, even though people may not know exactly what each individual symbol means, they know at least it's a connection to us. They have some
Mhm.
idea. Like when you see it, that's for us.
Yeah, that's so dope. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to sort of mention about your experience with Buddha Rising that you'd like me to capture via film?
Um, I think this was the first time that I was able to integrate, because I've always been an avid reader, especially Black authors, like for since I was young. And so a lot of the voices or the books that I'm familiar with, unfortunately, people are either just learning about, or, it's kind of like slipped the popularity stream to where it's like only the real hardcore book lovers have come across these things that are like my bread and butter. So it was like the first time I was able to have the opportunity to intentionally integrate things that I took from literature to my actual work. And which is crazy to think that I read all the time, like all the time. And I, until now, have never thought to like just maybe if I tweak this, or just weave this into this imagery that tells this story in a different way. Never would have thought. Yeah,
So dope. I love it so much. I love it so much. Thank you so, so much for being willing to stay with me and just chat about your experience from Living Rising. This has
sure.
been Rae Akino. Ow, ow. Okay,
Are there
you just know.
any specific things you want me to break down, like, or make connection to, as far as like why I chose the images I chose?
Mm. I think, I mean, my favorite piece is the twins piece.
Okay.
It's, I love it so much. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Like, a lot of it plays on eBay, a lot of it plays on the like balance of light and dark, and I picked that up immediately as I like opened the piece, and I was like, oh my God. So tell me a little bit about that and sort of the shaping of that piece.
So the twins were a little bit of my own version of, I mean, I pulled a little bit from Alice in Wonderland, the original book of Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and then you have like other versions of twins in other Black writings, both good and bad. So you got like I'm trying to think of one set of twins. And I can't think of the names right now. That's crazy when I actually have to talk about it. But anyway, so yes, it is very much a play on dark versus light, of duality, essentially.
Mhm,
Dark versus light, the past and the future, feminine and masculine, all of these things living in balance and duality, but also the position of their bodies and them both holding weapons, and the weapons were older than the mass. So the mass, I think, were Benin. I looked it up.
mhm,
They were my own version of an old Benin mass,
mhm,
but the types of swords they're holding are from farther east Africa, more closer to Egypt. And it was just like my own version of the idea of this duality, this balance, not only lasting and fighting for us, but like still being here in today's time, like with everything so polarized, with everything so you're either this or you're that. And it's just a representation of strength in the duality. The people who can accept I'm more than one thing, I can be more than one thing. And that's sort of both put you on the offense and the defense. You have something to work with and something to protect you.
Yeah,
I feel like culturally for us, it's always been that thing. It's always been that having to hold that duality of being multifaceted as a culture, as a people, is because of that ancient spirit, that balancing thing.
yeah, yeah. That actually brings me to the second piece, because you said it's like a duality, a combination of multiple things. And the second piece, in the series is literally like sort of this hybrid creature with these big, huge bunny ears. Which I love it so much because my favorite version of Alice in Wonderland is Whoopi Goldberg's version, where
Yeah.
it's kind of it's not your traditional rabbit. He's got huge ears and he's like kind of chill. He got on a shirt. Like he's very Brooklyn at the time. And so talk a little bit about sort of that imagery that you created for the second piece.
So that imagery was, yes, it was based on a number of Zora's works, the way that she describes or tells her Brer Rabbit stories compared to some of the other, folklores that I've heard in different versions, similar to Whoopi Goldberg's version of Alice in Wonderland. It was, our version. And even going back farther back to like it reminded me of, this animalistic, like sort of Anansi or maybe even Eshu, this trickster spirit that's here to not necessarily lead you astray, but teach you a lesson through time, through, you could have did this, like this is the easy option, but then like really making you use your critical thinking skills. And I feel like it was represented through the character itself was based on, your average, like if you ever heard what is the song? It's an old song in the 70s, um, from Superfly, like Curtis Mayfield. Is one called The Pusher Man, and the other one was called, and no, the other one was by Willie Hutch. They called him Slick.
Mm,
Um, I ain't gonna sing it, but yeah, they call him Slick. And so it's just like today's version of that trickster spirit is that hustler you see on the corner that, ain't really out to get you. But there are some that are, very predatorial, but there's always that one that's gonna, in some words, educate some people through experience. And the experience isn't gonna kill you. It's just gonna be difficult and teach a very valuable lesson. But like the representation of the clock that he's holding, how it fades out. Time is infinite. It doesn't move the way that we think it does. Um, the meter that he's holding his hands over,
mhm,
the meter, there's no clock in it. It's like a whole nother universe. So it's like this image is a culmination of all the wives' tales and the stories that we have heard growing up of like you better watch out because da 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 da. Like this is like a culmination of this entity being that lesson, being that challenge to overcome in order to get to that test to overcome to get to the next thing,
yeah, 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 yeah.
if you will. You know?
Yeah, the evolution of the hustler, like
Yeah.
it's so clear that a trickster character can definitely be embodied in the hustler that's like sort of in any story really. And that's sort of how we evolve in our neighborhoods, which I think is so dope that you like sort of tease that out through visual art. That's so funny. I didn't even know. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, like and like how we have always have also wanted to play on how we have this negative imagery of, any person just on the corner hanging out day and night, blah blah blah. They gotta be doing something terrible. They gotta be selling drugs, they gotta be whatever, whatever. But back in the day, before we had all this, social media and everything like that, we did have our storytellers were in the neighborhood, in the communities. Most of the time, some old guy sitting out on the curb, in some random shit. He's there all the time. Whether he's telling stories, whether he's telling experiences or what have you, whether give me here's a few dollars, go run to the store for me real quick. Like it's always that character in every community, in every community of color, because there's some in Spanish and I've experienced them in Filipino communities. There's always that character.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And also, I think it's interesting that when we talk about a corner where it is like positionally, more often than not, a corner sits at a crossroads, which is very, very like your issue energy, where it's about like this threshold moving into another space. And so, whenever you have a character that's standing at this crossroad, there's this idea of a trickster, someone who's going to lead you forward. I just finished reading, or like listening to Nydia Okorafor's first book in the Desert Magician duology, which I think is called Shadow Speaker. Yeah. And there's this character, the Desert Magician serves as this like gatekeeper in between the world. You don't learn that until much later in the book, but it's the same vibe around that character that like there's a gatekeeper, there's someone who's keeping them out of the neighborhood, but also like vetting people as they come in and out of our neighborhood to make sure that we're safe and make sure that our stories get passed on to people that need them. So yeah, that's dope. That's
Like I
dope.
know I had several in my neighborhoods growing up, that just different areas of DC, that everybody knew Jack on the corner. Everybody knew he had a story. Everybody knew, you give him a bottle, you buy him a fifth, he'd talk your head off. But a lot of what he's saying is real life gems.
Mhm. Mhm. That's so dope. I love it so much. I'm obsessed now. It's so funny. As I was like installing the work, and as I like put up your work is next to this piece that I created that's really about like people taking selfies around like how they envision themselves in the future and like reminding them like the only way you get there is if they actually dream us there. And it feels so fitting that there's a gatekeeper there sitting sort of just next to it to be like, and remember, and there's always going to be a guardian to like help you along your way. So that's so I love it so much. You're amazing. That's all. Just
Mm,
amazing.
appreciate it.
Okay, I feel this is delightful. I promise to cut this and make sure that it smoothly rolls and that it's not all over the place. But
I mean,
um,
it's doing this project. I wanted to make sure that I incorporated real, like as much, be as intentional as I could be about creating these works, because I could just slap something together, any time of the week. But I wanted to really dial in on my love for Black books, as well as our history and our traditions, that the ones that are like unspoken, but we all know, but unless we talk to each other, that's when we be like, oh, you sort of make the connections and whatnot. But like, yeah,
yeah,
this project was definitely opportunity for me to really make it my own and make it black,
you did that. You
real
did
black.
that. You did that. You did that for it. Fucking sure. Thank you so, so much. I'm so appreciative and I'm so glad I got to capture a little bit sort of your perspective, your process around it. I'm gonna just edit this down and then I'm gonna throw it up onto the blog that I'm from the Living Archive, and then I'll probably do a social media push, me and Vivid Matter Collective, to make sure that it goes up so people can just like vibe into it and continue to like push people to go see the exhibition because it's up until October. So yeah, I will make sure that I let you know once that goes out, and feel free to repost it, I guess, because you can now repost on Instagram apparently.
Well, what's going on with Instagram? They got me shadow banned. It's a lot.
Wait,
Yeah. Like I went from getting, a normal, if I post something, it'd be like a normal array of range of likes. Now I'm getting like 16, if that much. Yeah, I think they fueling a lot of it with if you're not talking about anything political, it's like whatever.
I'm good. I'm good. I
You
don't
know?
want no parts in that.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then being here in DC is even
Mhm.
wilder. It's just like a constant everywhere we turn. Like now that it's calmed down with the ice raids and stuff a little bit,
Yeah,
but it's you definitely see a change in the neighborhood. You see a complete change.
that's crazy. Oh, fun, fun time.
But definitely hit me up if you come across another or you decide to do curate another show that
Oh yes, I'm applying for the coordinator for Black Nerd Fest in Seattle. So if I get that job, I'm definitely gonna like hit you up to do some art for Nerd Fest. Yeah, because I'd love for you to do some shit. And of course, there can't be a Nerd Fest without a gallery of things. So
you know.
I got you. It doesn't. The position will just start, I think, until October. But yeah, if I do, hopefully, yes, get into that role, I will definitely hit you up. And talk to you about doing joining us on some nerdy shit.
Man, listen, this that is black and nerdy, all the things. My daughter is making me catch up with Demon Slayer and her thing
Yes,
she's sliding into. So I'm just like, okay, you know,
yes,
try not to be
yes,
biased because I like my favorites, the old X-Men and all those things.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Demon Slayer. It takes a little while. It's taken me a little while. I just started watching Demon Slayer, and I don't know, probably like 11 episodes in or something. It's
oh yeah.
taking me. I'm slowly moving into Demon Slayer
It's like
territory.
once you get over the way they talk and sort of the slow rhetoric, because they the writing isn't the greatest, but the story is pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
I just finished Castlevania Nocturne,
Ah,
like the Nocturne,
yes.
that one.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, it was fire.
Castlevania Nocturne. I just had some judgment because that's what I've been calling it.
Yeah.
Like, is fire.
It is. I was like, "Ooh, they did a great job. They did a great job."
Like,
The character development was really great. I don't know that I appreciate the way it ended, but I'll allow it.
you know, we couldn't ask with all them fight scenes. We couldn't ask for much more. You know, when Drake finally took the power into herself and was like, screw it, I do it myself. I was like, all right, classic black woman.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You know,
And she was like, "It's fine. I got it." Oh,
yeah.
damn.
She was a bad bitch though the whole time. As evil as
So,
she was, she was bad.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's true.
For
It's
sure.
true. I
So
love it.
I'm gonna shoot you this
Okay, thank you.
recording as soon as I figure out how to share it and save it.
Yeah, hopefully it'll just download and then you can
That
just
part.
send me a link. I think you just send me a link.
You
Let
know,
me know.
we gonna try this. So, all right. So I
Thank
appreciate your
you.
time. I'm gonna let you get to your dinner.
Okay.
You're ordering some red. It's about to be a
Oh,
night.
about to be a night.
Night for sure. I
Okay, I'll talk to
appreciate
you
you.
soon. Thank you.